Shalom, shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. Welcome to another episode of Tune In Tuesday. Today we're gonna have a good class. It's called Show Thyself for Man. And a lot of times we come into this truth and we haven't shaken off the different things that have destroyed us in this world, and we haven't shown forth ourselves as men. We come in broken. We come in with a lot of different baggage that we haven't dropped off. But today we're going to go through a couple scriptures and a couple scenarios to show the importance that you must show yourself men in this truth. Let's open up with those video clips that I sent you. Let's start with the first one. Y'all ready over there?
A jogger murdered in New York Central Park.
Raise it up a little bit.
Gunned down in her family's car in Los Angeles.
A judge has sentenced 2 boys for killing another child who refused to steal candy for them.
There's a tidal wave of juvenile violent crime right over the horizon.
And so this occurred during the 19
Life in the 1990s.
Let's pause. Yeah, this occurred during the 1990s. I want to keep some of these dates in mind. This is the 1990s. I call it an epidemic of violence. Play.
Was dominated by a sense that youth violence was out of control. The future looked bleak. To explain why, one word said it all.
Super predators.
That's
Some
that
social
word,
scientists-
super predator. That's a label that was given to young men during the 90s. They were labeled as super predators. Play on.
Criminologists looked at the data and saw doom. They stepped out of their ivory towers and into the public arena to sound the alarm about a coming wave of kids who were going to ravage the country.
A super predator is a young juvenile criminal who is so impulsive, so remorseless, that he can kill, rape, maim without giving it a second thought.
Now you gotta think about what media does. They are projecting a criminal stereotype on all black men. They're projecting that word, super predator. And that word triggered the deaths of a lot of young men during the 1990s and early 80s. Play.
Fiction was terrifying, and lawmakers cracked down on juvenile offenders.
This country went into a moral panic over super predators.
But there was one problem.
Hold on, listen to what he's going to say next. He said, but there was only one problem. Play.
They made it
Dial it back. Dial it back and play it again.
This country went into a moral panic over super predators.
But there was one problem.
The calculations were wrong.
The calculations were wrong, and they what? They did what? Let's dial back a few seconds on that video clip.
Maim without giving it a second thought.
The prediction was terrifying, and lawmakers cracked down on juvenile offenders.
This country went into a moral panic over super predators.
But there was one problem.
The calculations were wrong. They made it up.
They said that they made it up. During that time, a lot of young men lost their life. They lost their life because law enforcement was now energized. They were now determined to arrest a lot of young men. A lot of young men were wrongfully imprisoned during that time. They were all labeled as what? Super predators. Play the next video clip. Play the next one we got lined up. What we got lined up?
You even have to say Black Lives Matter lets you know how bad the problem is.
And this is another subject matter. Black Lives Matter. Even to, like Ice Cube is stating, even to address, to bring that up in a conversation that Black Lives Matter, you're looking to a nation to consider your life, that it is have value to it. That's how far we have fallen. We are now looking for other nations to say, listen, there's value in us. But we don't see it in ourselves. We have not grown to the point to see that we don't have to ask if we have value. There is value in us. Our lives do matter. Play.
Understand the Black Lives Matter.
Raise it up a little bit.
Understand. When you feel that the government is against you, who's going to be with you?
Bill Clinton was giving a speech down in Philadelphia, and had a bunch of Black Lives Matter protesters came in and tried to shout him down. And they're upset. They remember back in the 90s when Hillary Clinton, running for president now, we talked about gang members as super predators.
There's that word again, super
used
predators.
that kind of rhetoric to justify the notion of a lot of the tough crime policies that her husband and the Congress and all those people passed. Super predator. That's like the kind of stuff people used to say about the guys in NWA, right? And the culture that you guys represented. It seems crazy that we're still having this conversation in 2016.
To call.
Now, this is 2016, this interview, and that word, super predator, still resonated in the minds of people. The stigma was still there when we see young black men in the different various cities throughout the United States. Play.
Listen, super predators. Is pretty harsh and it's pretty big indictment. It's just like the term thug or hoodlum. It's just an easy brush to paint somebody with, and it's really not solving the problem. It's just making it worse because now you have the people or the authorities feel like, okay, now they're justified in how they
Now,
treat
that's the
these.
point where I want to bring out, where it says, now it gives them justification in killing young black men. No, everything they do, you gotta understand, there's a craftiness, there's a reason behind it. When they introduce certain words and certain stigmas on young black men. And it stems from not just the super predator, it stems from the Sodom agenda, the effeminization of men, the emasculation of young men. They use these words, or they put that vibration out on the media to the point that it destroys us mentally. Play on.
So-called super predators. And what is that? Who is that? I mean, specifically, who are you talking about? Because, the thing back in the 80s, Daryl Gates and the LAPD, they did a war on gangs.
Right, sure.
But if I'm a black kid that's not in a gang and but I look like a gang member to this white officer, then it's a war on me.
So now see that, now let's go back a little bit further. Now there was a war on gangs. That was another error in a black man's life in this society. Play that, drop that, play the next video. So we're going through a list of these different clips so we can kind of like paint the picture or see a timeline of what took place in this, what we call Babylon, in this captivity. What we got next?
Police searching for a group accused in a brutal gang assault and robbery in Brooklyn. Surveillance video shows a 15-year-old girl being repeatedly stomped, punched, and kicked by multiple people. It happened yesterday afternoon on Utica Avenue in Crown Heights. Police say they took her sneakers, a cell phone, and a debit card before running away. The victim was listed in stable condition at Kings County Hospital, where she was treated for bruising and swelling to her face.
So this is another example. We have become, not only are they calling us these super predators, but our youth, we are exhibiting the characteristics of what they are implying that we are. These are young men. They've just totally beat that girl and took all her items. Play. Next clip. Let's get the next clip.
As it all goes down. Fox 9's Lisa Evers was there before dawn with the NYPD. She joins us now with this story that you won't see anywhere else.
Now,
Lisa.
This is a story where we have the police are cracking down on gang members. Let's take a look at this imagery.
Years, the NYPD tells us hardworking day laborers, livery drivers, and retirees in the Bronx were targeted for armed robberies and vicious beatings by a violent gang going after their cash and their credit cards. They also allegedly had broad daylight shootings with rival gangs. We were given exclusive access into their investigation and the takedown. Police hope this will bring justice to the victims. Abdullah, how will you plead to the charges?
Now you gotta make a connection where 80s, 90s, they make sure that they put the vibration or in the media out there that young men are super predators. These are violent individuals that need to be apprehended, incarcerated at any means necessary. And when our young men get caught up in these different scenarios, it is more fuel for that word super predator, because they make sure that they repeat this stuff on the news over and over. Even though there's other crimes by other nations, they make sure that they portray that image on young black men. Play.
Israeli gang leader Abdullah Zika and other alleged accomplices were taken out of the 50th precinct in the Bronx to face a judge on multiple felony charges ranging from armed robberies to attempted murder. While most of the city still slept, officers from the Gun Violence Suppression Division, warrants, and many local precinct detective squads gathered at an undisclosed location in the Bronx to be briefed on the case. Our Fox 5 NY camera was the only one allowed in.
Gun in their head. Gun put to their head. That's how brazen they were. Over and over and over again. We have intel that there may be hundreds out there.
So these are the things that being portrayed towards our young men. What's the next video we got up there? I think there should be 2 more.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what else we got. Play.
Gang violence in New York City.
And now the body count's never enough.
Plus, the dangerous epidemic of deadly new drugs flooding the streets.
So now it's not only super predators, now it's the drug epidemic, the drug war. But the major player in all these different situations is young black men. They're all young black men. Play.
You've ever faced in drug law enforcement?
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. Beginning in Queens this week, Fox 5's Lisa Evers shares what's fueling the rise in youth violence and gang shootings.
Police say they're making progress in reducing major felony crimes, but one area has them deeply concerned: the growing rise in youth violence.
Now here we go.
Especially gang.
It says the growing rise in youth violence, and this youth violence that they're broadcasting on the airwaves is young black men, Hispanics. Then you see an influx of our sisters. So as time goes on, you see that the situation is pushed more and more and more. Is that all on that video? I notice it's lagging.
We just lowered the quality so we can play it.
All right, let's try it again.
Related shootings. We had exclusive access and were embedded with NYPD special units for a major gang takedown. It's clear today's gang problem is very different from the gang culture of decades past, and so is the law enforcement approach.
A significant number of our shooting incidents involving our people who are young center on gangs and street crews.
We got an exclusive inside look at how the NYPD is focusing on the most violent offenders and not doing the wide net sweeps of the past that sometimes snared innocent neighbors. In Queens, it was 2 rival gangs, more than 30 alleged members, most between 18 and 22 years old.
See how young they are. Young black Hispanic men, black and Hispanic men, 18 to 19 years old. Play.
All police say with previous criminal justice involvement and now charged with gang conspiracy in 2 murders and multiple shootings using dozens of guns.
It's pretty much shoot on sight when they see the opposition. And a lot of times innocent people are caught in the middle of it.
So it's just young kids just kind of doing whatever they want.
And it's any idea they come up with, they get other people on board and they just go do random crazy things.
Experts say easy access to cheap guns has escalated the violence.
How do they get easy access to cheap guns? How do you get access? How does a city such as New York City, where the gun laws are so strict, you can't even look at guns in New York City? But for some reason, all these young men, they have easy access to cheap weapons. The whole thing is they're in a trick bag, so to speak. They're allowed access to these weapons. They are groomed. The things that the media push, the violence, they're already being labeled this super predator. So now they are filling those roles that they're already being labeled as. The conditions they live in promote the violence, the gang life, the lure of it. Play on. And I think
in the
we got
90s,
one
there
more
were
video.
rules.
Play.
You had to ask permission before you killed somebody. And now the body count's never enough.
My cameraman and I had to put on bulletproof vests due to the potential for danger. The roots of the problem run deep, says A.T. Mitchell, founder of the Man Up organization.
Our neighborhoods and our societies failed our young people and left them out to do whatever they want to do and commit these vicious crimes.
Police say the gang rivalry heats up to a boiling point on live social media taunts and in drill music videos where they allegedly bragged about the location of the shootings and calibers of guns in actual incidents.
So the young man earlier, he said, our community have failed our young men. They have not taught them to be men. They have not showed them the way or guide them on how to be actually men. I think we got one more. Is it one more video left in the queue?
Yes, sir.
Play that.
Grabbing it.
All right, so top male actors in Hollywood. Let's go down the list. I want you to tell me how many times. How often
Now we're gonna switch gears a little bit. This is talking about the emasculation of young black men, Black, Hispanic, Native American men. Play on.
white men with a wig or a dress on. Some of them did do it. Tom Hanks. I don't remember Tom Hanks being in a wig and a dress. Maybe he did it though. Tom Cruise. You got Hugh Jackman, who plays like not the werewolf, but you know what I'm talking about, X-Men, Wolverine. That's it. Robert Downey Jr.
I want to hit pause. If you the white male actors he's listing, they always play roles where there are saviors. They're the ones that save us. They're the ones that are the conquerors. They're the ones that what's the word I'm looking for? They have no negative words attached to them when you see them play those roles. They're the God-sent saviors to the earth. Iron Man. What's that? The Gene Hackman, what he played? Werewolf. He played in X-Men, all those different movies. They show them as these are men with strength, and they stand and they show that they have, a character of saving the world. Play. None of them are in dresses. None of them saved the world in dresses. Iron Man wasn't in a dress. It shows him that they had power to save, power to conquer. Play.
Iron Man. He ain't. He's not the Marshmallow Man. Al Pacino. You ever see Al Pacino wear a dress? Anybody ever seen Al Pacino wearing a dress and a wig? Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, and Liam Neeson. The guy who the real strong alpha guy who will come and kill you if you kidnap his daughter. He has like 10 movies.
Right. They portray all these men as alpha males, strong, dominant men. Play.
Willis, Harrison Ford, Matt Damon, Keanu Reeves, Jack Nicholson, Anthony Hopkins, Clint Eastwood, George Clooney, and I could keep going. Ryan Gosling, Joaquin Phoenix, Matthew McConaughey, Russell Crowe, Bradley Cooper, Ben Affleck, Daniel Day-Lewis. Does anybody remember? Do you see these guys in every other magazine dressed as women? You see them?
Yeah, I've never seen them on a cover of any magazine in a dress. Never. They have never been portrayed in that light or took a role and say, hey, you'll be funny if you wear this dress. Never. You've never seen that. That's not the agenda push on the Edomite race. Play.
Very rare. You might be able to find something. Like when I ask people to say, okay, give me an example of a white man dressing like a woman in Hollywood, they'll go back to like Tootsie. Literally, they came out when I was a little kid. And I ain't been a little kid for a long time. But they literally have to go all the way back to stuff like Tootsie or that movie Wesley Snipes was in with I forgot who it was, but it was like way back in the 90s. So a lot of times they got to go back 30 or 40 years. Right? So I didn't say that it never happens. I'm saying that it rarely happens. And also, it doesn't happen nearly as much as it happens with black actors. That's my point. Because it's rare. Just like it's hard to find a white male actor that dresses as a woman in Hollywood, it's also hard to find a prominent black male actor who hasn't dressed as a woman in Hollywood. That is not coincidental. What it comes down to is they have a nightmare. Their biggest nightmare is a strong black man who actually leads.
You hear that?
Who's not going to follow
Their biggest nightmare is a strong black man. That's why it's important that we must show ourselves men in this earth. It says their biggest nightmare is not economics. Their biggest nightmare is that the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native man rise up in this earth and show themselves as men. That is the fear of these other nations. Read, play.
Nightmare is a strong black man who actually leads, who's not going to follow your agenda, who is intelligent, who knows who the hell he is. That's their fear, right? So in order to get in good with their graces or whatever, you got to show up doing your Tyler Perry imitation. Then they'll give you $1 billion and you can go and get you a big mansion in Atlanta and an airplane strip and all that. And here's what happens. Here's what occurs. And this is why you got to be careful with your culture.
So here's the important point. Here's what happens when our men promote gang life, promote the Sodom agenda that is taking place in Hollywood. They promote and they portray the wealth that you can accumulate when you do those things in all the music videos and all the different things that they push on the media to our young men. This is what happens. Play.
Strip and all that. And here's what happens. Here's what occurs. And this is why you got to be careful with your culture, is that these individuals become the people that your children look up to. Right?
These individuals now become an idol to your children, and they start to emulate the very same thing they are doing, because what they're doing, they're making it normal. They're making it's not an unseemly thing. They're making it, yes, you can wear a dress. Nobody's going to say anything. Nobody's going to demean you for it. Yes, you all can wear dresses. That's the energy that's being pushed. Play, finish it out.
That these individuals become the people that your children look up to, right? This is just like buck breaking back on the plantation. Tarina, she did a great movie about buck breaking. They would take the biggest, strongest slave, turn him into a punk, and then the little boys would look up and they would realize, okay, if I show up strong, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. But if I show up like a punk, then I can get many opportunities. They will treat me very, very well, right? So a lot of your little boys are planning already to show up as punks.
So you can drop that. So let's get that first image so I can get those out of the way. The destruction of the black man. Put that up there. And then there's an excerpt from that book. Let's read that.
This is from Amazon. Far too many young African American males are dying at the hands of people that look like them.
Come on.
There are many factors that contribute to this issue, such as pride, anger, jealousy, and a host of other detriments. The book also addresses the role of African American parents.
And when it says African American, you know they're talking about Israelites. Israelite men, Hispanic, that goes into the black man, Hispanic man. Read.
Specifically, fathers. The overarching theme of the book is that it is not too late for the African American family, but we must renew our mind.
We must do what?
Renew our mind.
We must renew the minds of young men. That is our job. We must renew the minds of young men. Read.
And become stewards of our homes again before it becomes too late. This book should be read by all segments of the African American community. It is essential to understand we have accepted death and division as the norm when we are so much more than the norm.
So the author said we must read this book before it's too late. But there's another book that we need to read, which is correct. It's called the Bible. That is our book. And let's go into that Bible right now. Give me Ephesians 4. You start at verse 14. Because the author made a good point. He said, yes, we must renew our mind and become stewards. Hence the class, show yourself men.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine.
Because when we are out in this world, with being out in the world, we are like children. We act like children. We act out like children with no discipline, no order. Read.
By the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But speaking the truth in love, may grow up into him.
May what? May grow up. Read.
May grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ.
Jump to verse 17.
Verse 17. This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk.
So as young men, we have to come out of that mindset where now we are walking like those in the world. We are doing the things like those in the world. These are the things that we must come out of and show ourselves men in this earth. Read.
In the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness.
And we have given ourselves over to many different lascivious lusts. Read.
To work all uncleanness with greediness. But ye have not so learned Christ.
So now we are not teaching that. We are not teaching because Christ is not teaching us that. Come on, read.
If so be that ye have heard him and have taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that ye put off concerning the former conversation.
So now as men, as we become men, we must put off what? The former conversation. Read.
The old man.
Which is the old man. Read.
Which is corrupt.
That is corrupt. Read.
According to the deceitful lusts.
And the author mentioned some of those deceitful lusts in this book, where he said there are many factors that contribute to the issue, such as pride, anger, jealousy. These things are deceitful lusts that cause us to what? Kill each other. Destroy one another as a nation. Come on, read.
And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
And be renewed. Like the author stated in his book. It is time that we what? Renew our minds. Read.
And that ye put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness.
So there's a new man in us that has to come out. That man is created in righteousness. So let's jump to, let's bring out some different points here. Isaiah 46 and 8. Let's go there. Because we just saw all these clips of a destroyed youth. And these youth grew up to be men. And they might have the physical bodies as a man, but the mindset in their head, they have forgotten what it means to be a man. They have forgotten it. Read when you get it.
Isaiah chapter 46, verse 8. Remember this and show yourselves men.
Do what? Remember what?
Remember this and show yourselves men.
Come on.
Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Remember the former things of old.
It says, bring it again to mind. Meaning that we once knew that we were great men in the earth. but we have forgotten these things. Read.
Remember the former things of old. For I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning.
The Lord said that he declared the end from the beginning. Come on.
And from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
So I have some images up there. Let's go to them real quick. They're numbered. Let's get that first image. So this is an image of us in Egypt under the bondage of Pharaoh. Let's get it in Exodus. Exodus chapter 1, I believe I want.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel.
And you can keep that image up there as we bring out these scriptures, because I want them to see. I want you all to see what was going on. Read.
The people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies. And
jump to verse 13.
Verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
They did what?
Made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
So this is what other nations do. They devise ways to use us for slavery. And they did it with rigor. It wasn't an easy task. Read.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
And our lives were made bitter. It wasn't an easy thing in the land of Egypt. Read.
In mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
So we went through that period of time. Then Moses, what? The Lord sent Moses and he brought us out of Egypt. Let's go to Micah. Let's read that in Micah. Micah 6:2. Because that was also a time period. We were slaves in Egypt. We were a young nation, and the Lord said he heard our cries, and he delivered us out of that land. Micah 6:2.
Micah chapter 6, verse 2. Hear ye, O mountains, the Lord's controversy.
So now the Lord has a controversy with Israel, those that he delivered out of the land of Egypt. Read.
And ye strong foundations of the earth. For the Lord hath a controversy with his people, and he will plead with Israel. O my people, what have I done unto thee? And wherein have I weaned thee? And wherein have I wearied thee? Testify against me. For I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
It says, I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Read.
And redeemed thee out of the house of servants.
Come on.
And I sent before thee Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember now what Balak, king of Moab, consulted.
All right, so you can stop there. Now, we got some images showing Moses. What else we got there? Let me look at it. We got Moses who delivered the laws. Read. Go to the next one. Blow it up a little bit. We got this is an image of King Solomon and Isaiah. These are all black men. I want us to see that we went from slaves and then we were given God's laws by Moses, and we became kings. We stood up manfully during this time. 40 years under King David, 40 years under King Solomon. Go back, dial back. Let's see King David. Previous one. That's King David. Next one. It says true depiction of King David. King David the prophet. Next one, number 7. This is Job, an image of Job. These are all black men. But the reason why I want you all to take a look at these images, the images of today are in dire contrast to those images from before, the ones of your forefathers. It's a whole different caliber of man. We went from men to monsters. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations.
So we got to consider, like, how far have we fallen as a people? How far have our young men fallen? To the point where they don't see themselves as men. They don't see themselves having any kind of worth. Finish it out. Read that. Finish that out.
Ask thy father, and he will shew thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
So it says, go look at your forefathers. Look at the things that we do. You have to go into the Bible to see the history, the rich history of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the prophets, Ezekiel, Isaiah. These are all black men. They were men of stature, men of renown. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 10. Let's go there. You're going to read 10 to 13.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 10. Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt, and brought them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes, and showed them my judgments.
So the Lord said he brought us out of Egypt. He brought us out of slavery. And he gave us what? Statutes and judgments. Which what?
Which, if a man do, he shall even live in them.
It says, which if a man do, he shall live in them. Read.
Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths, to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them. But the house of Israel rebelled against me.
But we did what?
Rebelled against me.
Come on, read.
In the wilderness, they walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them.
So the Lord judged us in the wilderness, but Moses also warned us. He warned us that in the future, we will pay the price for breaking those commandments, for defiling those Sabbaths. Let's read that. Deuteronomy 28:68. And bring it, the image that we got there is, I think it's number 8. You can keep that image up there as we read the Lord judging us and letting us know if we left those commandments, he will judge us not only in the wilderness, but our parents, or the children of those parents were judged. Come on, read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And that happened. The Lord delivered us on cargo slave ships. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Come on.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So let's, as we read this, bring up the imagery. They had the Arab slave trade. You can bring that next. It says, and no man shall buy you. Number 10. Blow it up. That's it. Blow it up. This is us in chains. Read Deuteronomy 28 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
So you got to look at the previous pictures when it says, ask your forefathers. Your forefathers was kings, priests. But we have lost that, and we have become slaves in chains. And it gets worse. Jump to verse 41.
Verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
It says that we will go into captivity. Show that image number 11. Now, image number 11, it shows the chains are off, but we're still in captivity. It shows all those chains are off, but we're still caught up in captivity. Read 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee.
And we became destroyed as a people. We forgot our name, our true name, our language, our customs, our culture, and we became cotton-picking slaves, serving our enemy in the want of all things. And those cotton-picking slaves have evolved into your restaurant servers, your bus drivers, your mailman. We have evolved in that slavery, in that slave mindset. Jump to the next image, number 12. This is how we went from King of Israel, the priest of Israel, to now we are the slaves of Israel. We've become slaves. We are no longer showing ourselves to be men. We are now servants. Come on. Deuteronomy 28, 29.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29.
Go back to the other image. Now, you have Martin and Malcolm X. You know, they try to restore us as a people, but the Lord already prophesied it wasn't going to work because we went away from God's laws. The Lord had already declared from the beginning that if we left the laws, curses would follow us. Come on, read.
And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
And it says, we shall not prosper in our ways. If you think about from the 1930s all up through the 2000s, as a people, we have not achieved anything. We are still asking for equality. We are still coming. We are still marching. Black Lives Matter. You know, we are still asking to be accepted. Nothing has changed. We have not prospered at all as a people. Read.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
We read that in Egypt. It says that we were what?
Only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
That happened in Egypt. We served with rigor and hard bondage. It hasn't changed. Go to that next image. There's a point in that next image when you look at it. We are to the point as men, we had at one point had to walk around with a sign saying, I am a man. That's the level we've come to. At a certain point in our captivity, we had to wear a white sign with letters saying, I am a man. But if you look at that image, you'll see that the Edomite has no sign. The Edomite never has to declare he is a man. He's already know, the world already know he is a man. And this comes forward in the movies in Hollywood. He doesn't have to portray himself in a dress. He's already seen as the hero, as the conqueror, as the deliverer. But we are not even seen as men. You have to put a label, a tag on your chest for the world to say, oh yeah, I think they might be men. Next image. Let me see what I got on that listed. Next image. Let me see. So these are black men during the 1930s, 1940s. Next image. How we're not prospering. Look. We haven't prospered. This is another image. We are asking for civil rights. Jobs for all, a decent pay, and segregated rules in public schools. Now we are begging for acceptance. First-class citizenship now. But again, if you look in that crowd, they are white men. None of them have signs asking for anything. We have become a nation that just begs. Next image. Read that.
The Atlantic. The black family in the age of mass incarceration.
So these are the different things that that we were labeled with in a society. We tried to assimilate into this society that we were enslaved in, but acceptance was never for us. Let's go to Lamentations 2:14. It wasn't meant for us to be accepted by them. And we have to realize that as men. We have to realize it. Because there's no profit in seeking after them. Read.
Lamentations.
Chapter 2, you can read 14 down to 17.
Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 14. Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, and they have not discovered thine iniquity, to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment.
So I want you to go to I want you to look at the number 17. Pull up number 17 image. So this image of Malcolm, this is during the 1960s. Water holes, dogs. And this oppression was a very tense time for young black men. A lot of men lost their lives during that time. But here's the false narrative that we got caught up in. Jump to image 18 and blow that up. Now, television started to portray us in a different light, black families. And we really believe that we were going to start seeing good times, as the sitcom was called. 19, you had the Jeffersons. If you're young, you probably don't know of these shows, but this was an era when they try to give us some good imagery, wholesome families. But there's an agenda behind this. Come on. This is the Bill Cosby show. All these took place during the 80s. But look at 19. We are still marching. Still marching. Still asking. Number 20. Now we have a new set of leaders. Now we start calling ourselves the hip hop nation. And we're looking to that generation to deliver is conscious rap. You had all these different things trying to pull the minds of young men into something better. 21. Still the same issues: drugs, police, being arrested, our sisters, our young men. It never changed. Next image. This is a group of young men that they say they have wealth, but in the article, we don't have time to pull it up. In the article, it says why the deck is stacked against young black men, even when they're rich. So money never saved us either. Money never pulled the mind of the young black man. He was still seen as less than nothing, even with money. Next image. Now we fast forward to earlier times. Now they're on Vogue and Ebony. Look at the imagery. The man is like a child being led by the woman. The man next to him he's emasculated. He's not portrayed as a strong black conqueror. He's portrayed as an effeminate man, a man that is soft, a man that cannot lead. Next image. Tay Diggs. What is the purpose of this? It is to push that image out there that y'all cannot show yourselves to be men. Any positive light, they have to tear it down and make sure that you are feminized. Next image. This is a plethora of black actors never shown in a light of, they're either shown in a light of effeminate, effeminized, or they're drug dealers, gangsters, killers, or comedians, entertainers. Next one. Insight. All these are portrayed on social media. Gun life, guns, gangs, weapons. There's images of us leading are not in their world. Next image. This is our Hispanic brothers. Latin kings, gangs, La Familia. All these different things are pushed to show that you cannot be a man, but that is incorrect. You are supposed to stand up as men. Did we finish? Where are you at reading?
Lamentations chapter 3, sir.
Read.
Lamentations chapter 3, verse 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee.
See that? All these nations clap their hands and say, wow, we have accomplished what we need to accomplish. Come on.
They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that man called the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up.
They have swallowed her up. We are in captivity now. They got us. Read.
Certainly, this is the day that we have looked for. We have found. We have seen it. Verse 17. The Lord have done that which he had devised.
So the Lord said he has done what he had devised. We read it earlier. He declared the end from the beginning. Read.
He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded.
He stated that if we left his laws, he would put these curses on us. Come on.
He have thrown down and have not pitied, and he have caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He have set up the horn of thine adversaries.
So as the Lord declared it, he also declared he would restore us. The Lord also declared he would restore us. Give me Jeremiah 30 and start at 10. You know, read 10 through 17.
Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 10. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord. Neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity.
So the Lord said that he will save us from afar. The Lord is our Savior. Read.
And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
Come on.
For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous.
Because we did a lot against the Lord. He said that bruise is incurable. Come on.
There is none to plead thy cause.
And there's none to plead our cause. So the voting, the marching, none of those things, none of those people are going to plead our cause with the Lord. Read.
That thou mayest be bound up, and hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. For the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased.
Because what?
Because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee.
So because our sins increase, the Lord said he put these things upon us. Come on, 16 and 17 quickly.
Verse 16, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity.
So the Lord will restore us, but we have to show ourselves as men. Come on.
And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee.
For I will do what?
Restore health unto thee.
The Lord will restore the Israelite man. Come on.
And I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after.
So the Lord said he will restore Zion. So these last scriptures is how we go about showing ourselves men. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7.
2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. For God have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and
so
of
the
love.
Lord did set us up to have power, but of power and what?
And of love.
Come on.
And of a sound mind.
And we have to come back to having a sound mind, meaning that the laws are in our mind. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Hebrews 10:23.
Hebrews chapter 10 verse 23. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering.
Come on.
For he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together.
So we must start to what? Find a school. Those that are in a school, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Finish, read on.
As the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
Proverbs 11 and 3. Proverbs 11 and 3. So we went into sound mind, hold fast to the profession. This is a profession. This is stewardship. These are the things that you haven't been taught as how to show yourself men. The Lord said, hold fast onto it. Read.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 3. The integrity of the upright shall guide them.
It says, your integrity shall guide you. Let integrity guide you back to being a man. Read.
But the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them.
But perverseness is what has destroyed us physically and spiritually. Romans 14 and 12.
Romans chapter 14, verse 12. So then, every one of us shall give account of themselves to God.
So you men, you have to give yourself an account unto God. You have to hold yourself accountable. Examine yourself. Examine the things that are troubling you. Get counsel. But it's time to stand up manfully and show yourselves men. 1 Maccabees 2:64.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 64. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant.
Be what?
Be valiant.
Be what?
Be valiant.
Means you got to be brave, no fear. Come on.
And show yourselves men in the behalf of the law.
It says, show ourselves men in the behalf of the law that was given to you by God. Read.
For by it shall ye obtain glory.
And by that law, we shall obtain the glory again in the earth. And with that, we say, Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom. What is the nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.